Welcome, Ken.
So thanks, Catherine, and it's always a pleasure to participate each year in the session, which we've been doing for many years. And as Catherine mentioned, this is a chance to get a little bit more into the weeds about what it takes to really achieve those goals that we share for a local food system, sustainable, local, and that supports and lifts up, values diversity, and supports our local farmers and fishers. The session that I will lead with Julie Stelmazik, supporting our farmers and fishers, just as a heads up, probably will be combined and be back-to-back with the Farm to School session that Jessica Petrolio is going to lead from Department of Education, most likely in March. So there'll be a chance to participate both those same day back-to-back sessions, and we'll provide further information on that. Really, what we're trying to achieve here is look at these goals that we have from the perspective of a farmer or fisher. The world that they operate is often very different than the one that we do as supporters or eaters. Their future viability is often very dependent upon very practical things: the cost of fertilizer, the cost of fuel, neighbor complaints about what they're doing, the day they're eating their crops, access to markets, and whatnot. So we want to hear from them. It's particularly important that they're there, and we'll make sure that we're inclusive, as we always are with farmers and fishers, as we develop and support these goals. And we build the support system around those goals, and acknowledge the fact that we have to keep that population base strong, viable, and part of our future. It's a very small group of people when you think about it, both nationally and in Rhode Island. Probably talking about 5,000 to 6,000 people total that are our primary producers in this state. And they have their set of challenges, but without them, we can't achieve the goals that we're trying to in terms of a strong food system going forward. Our goal is not one that is siloed or only Rhode Island. Going forward, we have to recognize that our food system forever will be connected, both nationally and internationally, but the goals that we have of a 30 by 30 or a 50 by 50 objectives, 30% of our food coming locally by the year 2030 or 50% by the year 2050, are entirely dependent upon maintaining and supporting and valuing the food, people that produce our food, the farmers and fishers in the state. There's been a set of challenges. There's always a set of challenges. But they've been really ramped up over the past 3 to 4 years: the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, the drought we had in Rhode Island and regionally last year, and climate change all produce a set of circumstances that in some cases farmers and fishers haven't faced before. And as we develop a support system, we have to recognize and understand those challenges and work the support system so it enables farmers and fishers to be viable. The larger food system, as we've talked about, most of our food's coming to Rhode Island from out of the state. The average food miles in the country is around 1,500 miles. Some of those factors that I've talked about before we can control, many we can't. And as one who has supported the system and the farmers and fishers of the state over the past 3 to 4 years, I know that when things get tough, the public of the state clamors for local food. And we've seen the response to such challenges as the pandemic a couple years ago, which is still ongoing, but when it was at its very peak, was people seeking out local food. And supply chain challenges and price challenges this year, more and more, are resulting in people wanting access to local food. So from the perspective of a farmer or fisher, how do we keep them strong, viable, and part of our future? How do we promote land access? How do we promote buffering them from some of the challenges of living in a very urban state? How do we ease their way through permitting or zoning or other challenges, including access to land or getting a farm loan or being able to buy a boat? Those are the type of things that we want to explore. I think in Rhode Island we're very, very fortunate in the type of relationship that we have with our farmers and fishers. We value them in state government. We do our best to support them. We're fortunate with all the money that's flowing into Rhode Island from the federal government and state government in terms of the ability to make change. I've been at this job for 35 years and I've never seen the opportunity that we have, like right now, to use federal money to impact the system, and we are hard at that. And I think over the past year or two, as Julie had mentioned, we're making changes that, or have the potential that we've never seen before. So we want to do this right, and we want to do this in such a way that we're not creating gaps in the system going forward. And I think as these programs take hold and mature, we'll see less and less of those gaps. But it's particularly important that we explore that, understand that, and are sensitive to that, and recognize that all that we've talked about is very much dependent on this rather small group of people who produce the food for us. And understanding the lives that they live and the challenges that they have and the value that they have for Rhode Island is critically important. I'm bullish about this. I think there's great potential, and I think we will achieve that. But that's one of the things that we have to explore and understand, and do our best to make sure that we adapt what we do to their needs. So we're looking forward to this session and looking forward to your participation. And there's no time, time doesn't permit us to get into the weeds of that right now, but promise that it'll be interesting and productive, and we can't wait for you to join us in talking about it in a couple months. So thank you.
Thank you, Ken.